Okay, the Mishnah on Lamed Ches Amud Aleph. Right, that's what we got up to. Yeah. So Hamafkid Peiros Eitzel Chavera. You have it, Lamed Ches Amud Aleph. Right.
Got it.
We're good. All right. Somebody gives Paris by his friend. Even if they're getting lost, which Rashi says either through mice or through decay, don't touch them. Meaning it's his problem. And a guy gives you something to watch, and it's starting to decay. It actually has to do with Pesach, right? The guy gives you chametz. The guy gives you chametz to hold on to, and then it starts becoming puzzle or whatever. Then it's becoming Pesach time. Do you sell it before it becomes in the Zman Isser or not? No return. No return.
I don't understand. If I give you Paris to watch and you put it in a place where mice are eating it, you shouldn't touch it? You shouldn't move it?
Actually, I could be on a Pesheya. Then I could be on a Pesheya. We're talking about where I guess you mean why is the guy not a Pesheya?
Yeah, and if they're getting rotten, I shouldn't put it in the fridge or move it out of the sun or something. You shouldn't touch. I don't understand.
This was unexpected. It was unexpected.
That's what you have to say.
Yeah, otherwise, this was like a long term. He gave it to him he gave wheat to him for like a year. And it was unexpected. It wasn't expected to go. Nobody thought it was going to go bad, but it's going bad. I think.
And not because of something he can do?
I don't believe so. It's not like fruit where you just leave it out. This is like wheat or rice where long-term storage is not a big deal. But then all of a sudden something happens.
It says Paris.
I know, but Rashi, everybody says it's wheat.
Well, it could be anything. What's the difference if it's wheat or
Paris? Do you have to check it? Like after the earthquake, you have to check if this thing fell down?
I hear. Right. Are you Mechayga? Okay, what would be I understood it with that before Naftali's question. I understood it like the guy gave it to you in a box, right? And you put the box down, and then all of a sudden something weird. Meaning, and a box. You told the guy, okay, you want me to watch it in your box? A shine, right? It's interesting that you remind me. Last year we were on the way back from Eretz Yisrael, so we did a guy a favor. He had to bring matzahs to a donor of his yeshiva. So he had 3 boxes.
I remember this.
Right, so he has 3 boxes of matzahs. So I offered, I'll bring it. We landed in Newark. So I said, well, schlep it to Far Rockaway. I called the guy who was supposed to get the matzahs. I left him a message, never called back. Then I lost the guy's number. Right? And then, now it's still sitting in my mother's basement. It's 13 months later. My mother asked me, we still have those matzahs. The guy never picked it up. So she says, what do you do with this? I don't know. Let's say Taka mice got to it. So I'm saying
Eliyahu, we gotta wait for Eliyahu. It might be stale by then, but okay.
Right. So I don't know. Man, first of all, my mother wants to know, Stam, can we keep it? I think at this point it's gotta be Yish. No? But I'm just wondering. So we put it downstairs, it's a normal place to put it. I think.
Maybe the guy wanted it this year. He wanted.
You still have time to fundraise for the yeshivas. Before you say, would you know, Rabbi, why this guy didn't send me a check this year? He sent me a check for 9 straight years. He didn't give me a check this year.
I know. We could be doing multiple damage to multiple people over here. He don't have matzahs, not for last year, not this year. The other guy's losing his money, and I don't know. So I thought it was like put in a regular box, and the guy said, "Here, this is the way. That's a normal way to hold." Am I negligent if a mouse goes and eats it? Let's say, am I negligent now? I mean, I had it in the box. Maybe I shouldn't have put it in the basement. Maybe I should put it upstairs. All right? Okay, if I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, but don't touch it. Tanakh holds don't touch it. Sell it in front of Bezdin. Right? Because he's actually doing Hashavas Aveda. It's getting lost otherwise. Yeah. Fine. So then with my timer, what's the reason? Right? That's a major psychological it's a major psychological thing. A person would rather his own fruits than, meaning he grew his fruit, he worked hard on it, etc., right? So Mamela, he'd rather have that than his friend go sell out his fruit. Then he gives him the money, and then he has to go buy more fruit. He'd rather have his own hard work, right? So but there's a big discrepancy. We'll see in the Gemara later. A kav to 9 kavim. You really got to like your own stuff. You know what I'm saying, I don't know if you offer me 1 beer as opposed to 10 beers, right? I would really just want one of my own as opposed to 10 plain ones. I'm not so sure.
You're not understanding the.
No, parents would want one of his.
You're not understanding the hana of growing your own produce in your own land, working the land, spending the time takes months and months. It's not a beer.
I hear, but I didn't mean if I made my own beer. That's okay.
If you make your own beer, then you'd want your own beer more than anyone than any other beer. But this is
that's a big loss. That is a big loss, though.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm not so sure I understand that either. But I was saying it's not comparable to 1 beer and or 10 beers. It's something.
The psychology of this is 9 times, 9 kavim to 1 kav. You want to just say 2? I would rather prefer 1. So I don't know where the Gemara gets 9, because I'll give you 9, like it's a 999. It will 9, but that's a strange number, 9. Like out of the blue,
Yeah. Okay, it's what we're gonna see later. That l'chayr it changed. It'll change. Okay, but that's the first. That's the first shot. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Amar Chashinon Shema Ason Hamafke Truma Umaiser Al Makam Acher. We're chayshid that the person is going to, meaning maybe he made a Trumas Umaiser. Normally, Trumas Umaiser you have to do in front of it. When you have to take all the fruit that's in front of you, you take out the Trumas Umaiser. And here we're talking about where you didn't do that, right? Where he he didn't. He's basically, sometimes you can do it remotely. You can say that the Trumas and Mises that I have over in my barn are going to be, I'm going to make the ones that and he gave his friend some fruits and vegetables to watch. He could say, you know what, the fruits and vegetables my friend has, that's going to be Trumas and Mises based on my barn. So that works. That works in certain situations. So we're saying maybe that's what happened here. So how do you go sell Trumas and Mises to somebody? So that's the concern. It's a Meisvei. We have a kasha. Kasha on Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman Yitzchak. Amafke Paris. If somebody gives you Paris to watch, you're not allowed to touch them. Makes Trumas and Mises on another place. That's what it says. According to Rav Kahana, it says Lafika, since the guy gave you the fruit, don't touch it because he'd rather have his own. What do you mean Lafika? Right? It's not a Lafika, it's also to sell it because maybe it's Trumas and Mises. Meaning there's no 1 + 1 = 2 here, according to Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. So Hachikamer Hashta the Omer is very interesting. This teretz Hachikamer Hashta the Omer Rabbanan Loy Nazdim. Now that the Chachamim said don't sell it, the Chashinon, that we're choishish that it's chumas and maisus. The fikach balabayas is on chumas and maisus. The balabayas can make it chumas and maisus with something else. You know what it's saying? It's saying don't. If the guy's fruits and vegetables, it's almost like circular logic. We're telling you, don't sell the guy's truma, don't sell the peiros because he may have made it chumas and maisus, right? So therefore, now that we told the watchman not to sell the peiros because the owner might have made it chumas and maisus, therefore the owner can make it chumas and maisus. Like which came first, the chicken or the egg? Right? We're saying that you're not allowed to sell the food even if it starts decaying because the owner may have made it chumas and maisus. But we have no idea if he did or he didn't. But now that we're telling the watchman not to sell it because it's chumas and maisus, so therefore the owner can make it chumas and maisus because hey, no nichsh is going to come from it. Right? It's interesting. So fine.
Are they communicating with each other?
I was not. Right.
So then how would the owner know that the guy is not selling it in order for him to now make it trumas and maestros?
No, he can't sell it because the owner may have
already. We said now that he's not, the other guy can do it. Right? Isn't that what you just said?
Yeah.
But they're not talking to each other. So how do we know? How do they each know what they're doing or not doing?
They don't know. That's what we're saying. Since we're saying don't sell it because he may have made it trumas and maestros. Okay. Now that we're telling you that,
why does he want to sell it? He wants to help the balabas because it's rotting.
Yes,
that's why. Okay, fine.
Rotting. We're telling him don't sell it because he may have made it chumas and maisus, and now some poor Yisrael is going to be buying chumas and maisus, and don't make it. Okay, so now we're saying now that we told him that, now you can make it chumas and maisus, right?
Is that the roiv?
What do you mean?
Chash?
What is it, the roiv?
Meaning, is it something that's shriach?
I don't know if it's shriach. I have no idea.
So no, what's the concern according to Rav Nachman Yitzchak? I don't understand it.
He's afraid that the guy may have made it. Well, we're going to see weiter. Let's wait because the Gemara is going to explain the machlokes.
Does it mean that matzah in your basement could also be trumas and maestros?
Well, that's the thing. Maybe I don't know. Why? It's a good question. Maybe the guy made it. How do you go eat it? I hate rachman. It's a good point. Yeah, fine.
No, but he didn't ask. He didn't ask you to store it for him. He asked you to give it to another guy.
Right,
he didn't ask you to store it to him.
Right, but how do we know that the guy decided? You know what? I have no idea where my matzah is. Maybe it's somewhere in the world, but I'm going to use it. Make a chumas and maisus.
Sounds unlikely, but okay.
That's what the definition. A mafkid. That's what it means. A mafkid. He didn't make you a shliach.
No, he did make him a shliach. He said, "I want you to get this matzah. I want you to give the matzah to somebody else." He didn't say to leave it in your basement for the next year. He says, "I want you to get it to this other person." And he called him a couple times, and now he can't find his number. He didn't ask you to deposit it. He asked you to get it to somebody else.
No, the other guy is supposed to pick it up from him.
Okay, but
it's only his job is to
store it.
Is to be shomer it until the other guy picks it up. That's a mafkid.
Listen, I don't know how far you take the chashash. I don't know. It's a good point. Okay, let's see. I got a lady share coming in at 10. Machlokes or anybody share, but it's geared for ladies. The machlokes is if it's going to be lost in a normal, I guess, with the normal decay, right? Vegetables, for every pound of vegetables, that over a certain amount of time, it's going to lose. Some of the stuff is going to get rotten. But if it's like an accelerated decay or accelerated mice, then everybody holds you should go sell it in Bezdin because it's something out of the norm. So Ad Rav Nachman by Yitzchak V'adai Pligi. this shita is definitely disagreeing with Nachman Yitzchak, because Nachman Yitzchak said it has to do with the concern that the guy may have made it into Chumas and Maisa. So what does more decay have to do with anything? Other Rav Kahana, but who says he disagrees with Rav Kahana? Keep coming Rav Kahana because they just run and come. Rav Kahana was talking about when there was the regular standard decay, right? But more than that, you don't. So Gemara asks, didn't you say that a person would rather one kav, right, than 9 kavim? So that's a pretty accelerated decay. That's a 90% decay rate or 80% decay rate. And we're saying that a person would still rather 1 kav of his own than 9 kav. So how can you say that that accelerated decay is a problem? So my answer is Guzba Ma'al, that was just an exaggeration, right? Meaning he was saying that a person likes his own more than he likes others. But if it's that far, even a person would still rather not give up his own. Right, so then we get into it, right, to exactly how far does the psychology of liking your own things go? Because here the Gemara now is saying, now the Gemara is saying that there is an amount that has it, right? Fine. So then Meisvei, the Gemara has a kalafika, Balabayas, Oisa, and Truma Umaiser al Mokam Acher. The Balabayas can make it Chuma's Maiser Macher, Velechush Duma Havalu Yosim Gedechas Ronim, was of Ninu Vaka Achot Tvalim. So now we said, so what could happen? That once we're telling the shomer not to sell it according to Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, because maybe the owner made it into Chumas and Maisers, but now how can you do that? Maybe, how can the owner make it into Chumas and Maisers? Maybe there's going to be an accelerated decay, and since there's an accelerated decay, and therefore he's going to sell it anyways, and now the owner made it into Chumas and Maisers. So what answers more than Kedei Chasron is not a common thing. See, so that answers your question. I think it's not a common thing, so you don't have to be worried about that. Be mishtakchi, my, and then what I ask though, if it did happen, my mazlinalu, we're going to sell it. So now go the other way. So now, if you're saying that it's not common, so then how do you taka go sell it? How does the shomer go sell it? Maybe taka was made into tevel. I'm sorry, into chumas and maises. So my answer is ki mazvina nami l'kahana b'demei chuma mazvina lo. So enochanami you could sell it, but who do you sell it to? You only sell it to kahanim, which means it's going to be a very reduced rate, because kahanim don't buy things for a lot of money, right? They don't buy things because they're used to getting chumas and maises, which is there's no big market for chumas and maises, right? Something what I asked was, according to Rav Yitzchak, also sell it to kahanim with the made truma, right? So meaning why you have a machlokes in the Mishnah? Everybody should all just sell it to the kahanim, then you have no issues. So my answer is b'hapligi this the machlokes. The Rav Rachana Sava Yosim Gedechas Roinon Lo Shchiach Midi. Rav Rachana holds that for something to decay that much is not common at all. It's only when it's a long time, when you're holding on to the fruits and vegetables for a long time, then that's when there's an accelerated loss. If the balabayas made chumas and ma'aseh, he would have done it before the decay accelerated. So Mamela, once it gets more than Kedei Chasron, so therefore you sell it to the Kahanim with the made Truma. Right? Meaning that's again we're going around in circle here, sort of like in a circle. We're saying that it's Kedei Chasron and it's not Shchiach. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen way down the road. Right? And if he would have made it Trumas and Meiser, he would have done it before. With that part, I'm not sure. What do you mean he would have done it before? Why? Why would have done it before? Okay, the Gemara's assumption, he would have done it before. I mean, the Rashi says the reason is because a person doesn't leave Tevel for that long. But I don't, okay, but I don't understand. Maybe he would have had it on new Tevel. He would have had new growth, that he would have used it. So, okay, I'm not so clear on that. And therefore, when it accelerates, then you're allowed to sell it to Kahanim, meaning then you're safe. Okay.
I don't know. Why would Kahanim buy it? You say, hey, this has Chashat, it's Truma. He said, so fine, give it to me for nothing. I mean, what? And if you sold it for a penny, $1, whatever, right? So then, then what are you supposed to do with this dollar? How's that the May Truma? The May Truma has no monetary value.
Well, it does amongst Kehanim, but it's just a much cheaper monetary value.
Problematic for Kohanim too, because they can only eat it in a tahor status. They can't serve it to people. So if it's really truma, then it's.
Well, you guys just give it to your donkeys. What are you babbling about? Just give it to your donkeys.
Right. You give it to your Evid, Yeah.
Enochanami, the guy is taking a big loss by putting it into the truma, selling it only to Kahanim. It's a big loss. But it's worth something. Kahanim could swap grain, no?
Once it's truma, I don't how do they? It doesn't lose its status, does it?
No, but you could sell the truma to your friend. Let's say you get truma.
It's not a matana, it's truma.
I understand. You have truma, right? I give you a bunch of cucumbers, right? And all of a sudden there's a cucumber shortage, right? Man, you don't like cucumbers. So your Kohen friend says to you, hey, buddy, I'll give you $1,000 for your cucumbers. You're not allowed to sell it? I think you are.
Another Kohen, maybe, but not to anybody else.
Yeah, another Kohen, yeah. Yeah, 100%. No? I think. Whatever but that's essentially what could happen here. Fine. Okay, but that's one sheet of it. That's what Rabba Bar Chana would hold. More than a Kedei Chesroinon is common. It is common for things to decay that fast. Right? And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen right away. And if you're going to say that you sell it to Kehanim, so maybe sometimes he will sell it, right? Sometimes he'll sell it. And when the Balabayas is going to, he's going to try and make it Truma and Maisis, when the Balabayas is going to make it Truma and Maisis on some other place, he's not going to have any idea that was sold. And he's going to be eating, whoever's buying it is going to be eating Tevel. Right? So Mimela, that's the pshat in the Machloikas Achronim as to what the Machloikas is in the Rishonim, in the Tanoim, I'm sorry. Right? Again, basically the Machloikas boils down to, are we concerned that there can be an accelerated loss immediately, or does it not happen? Right? So Meisvei Hamafkid Peiros Eitzel Chaveiroi. If somebody leaves Peiros by his friend Kivu and they go decayed, Yayin Behichmitz, the wine became vinegar. Right? Shemen, that's a big Pesach sugya. The vinegar that we have, so people are busy selling all their vinegars, and then a kimat no vinegar comes from wheat nowadays, as far as they tell me, right? So I'm saying back then wine became vinegar, but nowadays it's wheat vinegar, or what it used to be wheat vinegar. Most vinegars are now chametz, but stam. But here it's yayin behichmitz, shemen behivish, oil, and became also bad, dvash behidvish, and honey that also hidvish is interesting lashon, dvash behidvish. The bottom line is they all became bad. Don't touch it. That's like the Tanakama or Mishnah. You make a takon, you sell it in bezdin. He has to sell it to other people. He can't sell it to himself because of a conflict of interest, right? Meaning, if he sells it to himself, then everybody's going to think, it really didn't decay that much. The guy decided he needed some wine, so he sold it to himself. Similarly, Gabay Tzedakah. A Gabay Tzedakah was man she'ein lem aniyim, when they don't have aniyim. I'd like to know when they have that. When there's no aniyim to give money to, partin la'acherim, he should swap it out. Meaning back then the coins would decay, so you can't just leave the coins in the tzedakah. You're gonna end up losing, so you have to swap them out. So he should swap them out, but to other people, the ain't partin la'atzah, he cannot swap it out with his own, because then people are going to be choshed him. Gabay tamchui, and somebody who's the gabay of the tamchui, that's the food bank. When they have no aniyim to be mechalek, sell the food to other people, so you can preserve the money. You don't sell it to himself. Okay, so what's the kasha? Katani mias, but we do see peiros v'erkivu. You have fruit and became decayed. So, and what's the din? Rameir says that you don't touch it. And my lava filu yes and is it talking about even more than the normal decay? Right? So my answer is no, it doesn't mean more than kedei chesroina. It means just the normal decay. That's more than a standard decay. Right? I'm not sure how we know that exactly, but the Gemara is assuming that that's more than standard decay. So my answer is an interesting thing. Shani hani kivan de come. That's different because once they're decayed, that's it. They're decayed, meaning it's all in or all out. It doesn't. Meaning regular fruits and vegetables, I guess, start decaying. Then I guess you can cut off the edges, let's say, and the middle will be okay. But wine,
or you have as many different ones. I have a basket of fruit, and I got a couple bad apples. That doesn't make the whole thing. But if I have a bottle of wine, and you can't say the bottle only the bottom became chametz, or the top, it's not chametz but chametz. The whole thing is spoiled. This is these three things: yayin and shemen and davash. It's one. They're all one container, so to speak. Macheng and Paris is one peri and another peri. One peri starts going bad, so that's the bad peri. It doesn't mean the next one is bad. No, that's what I think.
Okay, no, I think so. I think you're correct, right? So, but for some, if honey goes bad, it just goes bad. So once it's bad, there's no reason to do anything to it.
Rahman, that brought you back to Gary Lawson. When fruits go bad.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how. I don't understand honey. I never knew that honey could go bad. I thought honey stays forever. I don't know.
I wonder if the Gemara is talking about date honey, not bee honey.
And what's the difference?
Well, that would be the same. It's fruit
That's
juice.
a very good point. That's a very good point. It's more like a juice.
Yeah.
Shkoya Gerson. Gersons are back.
Okay, good. But either way, so the Gemara is answering those once they decay, so you don't have to worry about further decay. So the Gemara says, Shemen vivish dvash v'hidvish on the other base, the maichazu. What are you doing with decayed honey and decayed oil? So shemen chazi legaldai. Oil, you use it for the people to smear it onto leather. And dvash l'chtisha de gamli, and honey, you use it to put it into the back when the camel gets, I guess, from the loads, the back of the camel gets roughed up. So you use the honey to help it heal. So what's the takana? Meaning, if you're already saying that the honey and oil spoils, it doesn't spoil anymore. So then, what's the point in selling it? What's done is done. So Gemara answers, Amar Rav Ashi l'kankanim. No, for the jugs. I guess the jugs will also become spoiled. So sell them so that they don't get ruined. The Michael Mifli, what's the machlokes? The Mar Savar lehefsid meruba chashashu. Mar holds that you're choshesh for a hefsid meruba. Lehefsid mu'at loy chashashu. For a hefsid mu'at, we're not choshesh. Right? Meaning don't sell it if it's only a small amount of decay. Now, how that fits in with Kedei Chesron or not, I don't know. Meaning, what are the categories? Umar Savar Afilu lehefsid mu'at.
Wait, I have said Merubas because you're losing out on the Kankanim also.
That's what you have to say, no?
I'm asking. That's chat.
I think so. I think
Okay.
so. Well, he's really even talking about with the grains too, right? I don't know. I mean, it sounds like Rashi says it's a hefsid mu'at is kedeches rainon, and kilkol a kankan, ruining the kankan, is also hefsid mu'at. I'm not sure why that is. Why would ruining the jug be a hefsid mu'at? I would think that would be a hefsid meruba, but I don't know. Right? Yeah. Fine. Okay, but that's what we're saying. That's what's boiling down to. It's a machlokes whether we're choshesh hefsid mu'at or not. Fine. Sell it in Bezdin because it's like Meshav Aveda. So Itmar, Rav Ava Rav Yaakov Rav Yochanan Allah Roshim Gamliel. He says the halacha is like Roshim Gamliel. But Rav Amar Rav Nachman Allah K'divrei Chachamim, and Rav says Allah is like the Chachamim. So Gemara asks, "Va'amar Rav Yochanan Chadazim." No, Rav Yochanan already said that Allah is like Roshim Gamliel. He said it once already. Don't worry, Rav Chanan Rav Yochanan. Call Makom Shoshana Rabbi Shimon Gamliel b'Mishnah Seinu. Anytime it says Rav Shimon Gamliel in the Mishnah, halacha k'maisa, it puts me arev, except for a case of a guarantor, the tzidon, and the tzidon in the town called tzidon, a get that was given in tzidon gittin, the raya achrayna and raya achrayna, which is, I don't know why Rashi decides to bring down what this case is, but that's when two conflicting shtaros were presented. Okay, whatever it is, but those are the three times that the halacha is not like him. Otherwise, anytime it says Rav Shimon Gamliel in the Mishnah, so then we're pascal like him. So why does Rav Yochanan have to say that the halacha is like Shimon Gamliel? It's redundant. We know you're going to say that. So our answer is it's actually a machlokes amarayim in Rav Yochanan if it's true that every time Rav Shimon Gamliel is said in the Mishnah, the halacha is like him. Meaning it's a machlokes whether we talk to say in the Mishnah. So one Tana holds we don't normally say it, so therefore Rabbi Yochanan had to say that the halacha is like Rav Shimon Gamliel. The other Tana says you don't have to say it because we know that since Rav Shimon Gamliel was said in the Mishnah. Fine. So then what it says, Rav Shimon Gamliel nishma de maridin karav lenichsei shavah. Rav Shimon Gamliel's din, who says that again, Rav Shimon Gamliel holds that you have to go save the rotting fruit. So then we can learn from him that when somebody gets captured, so what's going to be with all this field? Let's say a guy gets kidnapped. Right? Let's say Nebuchadnezzar, these guys from the Eretz Yisrael. Right? So now what's going on with all their foods and all their fields? So what do? Do you go down there and work their fields or not? So we're saying from Shimon Gamliel we can learn that you should, because the guy's fields are going to be taking a loss. From the Rabbanon Nishma, the Eimer reading Karov the Nifsei Shavah. From the Rabbanon, we learned that you would not. Right? So the Gemara asks, who says these machloikis and go hand in hand? Dilma Adkan like Rishon Gamliel Hacha, Eloshim the Kokal Yakarna. Here, the Keren, how do you call it? The principle is getting ruined. Right? Meaning, if you're not going to do something about this fruit decaying or the grains decaying, it's going to be gone. Aval Hassan by a field, maybe you shouldn't put somebody down there because it's not the land is going to be fine. Maybe he'll lose out from some of the growth, but he's not losing the land. Maybe the Rabbanan here say that you shouldn't go down to the field because either the concern of Rav Kahana that a person would rather kapshaloi from Tisha Kavan of his friend, or we're afraid of Chumas and Maiser. Maybe over there you should put him down. So that's it. So we don't have. The Gemara is saying it's not necessarily true, but then the Gemara continues. Remember the trade Tami Ninu. So what are you saying is that they're two different inyanim. Saving a guy's thing is different than saving a guy's fruits and vegetables is different than saving his field. Halacha is like Rav Shimon Gamliel. And we bring a relative to the nechasim of somebody who's captured. Meaning there it's different. There it's a little bit. Here we're saying now that you put a relative in who will yarshin the land if the guy who was captured taka dies. Meaning he's going to get the land anyways, right? Because he's the Yorush. So the shaila is, do you put him in there already when the guy's captured, even because we have no idea what's going on with him, right? What
about for soldiers, reservists?
I mean, if they go out to the army.
Not the 18-year-old recruits, but 40-year-old reservists who have a family and have a business and they have fields, whatever they have. What do you do? Who's supposed to take care of it for them?
Who's going to take? And Achanami, probably the same shiloh. It also would depend on if there's communication.
There's more reservists than there are number hostages.
Right. Yeah, but I'm saying there. Yeah, I guess there though, they could. They could give instructions. Meaning, when a guy's kidnapped, he had no warning. The soldiers, it's the soldiers there. They put there, and also I would think, like Bava was saying before, if the guy has a phone, so call him up. He's in the army. Maybe they'll let him out. However often to let him talk, and ask him what should we do with your fields. Right here, I don't think you had any of those options. Anyways, so isn't it the same? Isn't it the same reason, right? Which is that are we concerned to somebody's loss or not? So the answer is loy trey tamin. There are two different reasons. One has nothing to do with the other. Yeah, so and that makes sense. He says Allah is like the Chachamim. He says Allah is like the Chachamim that you don't save the guys. That you do, right? No. Chacham mixing it up. The Chachamim say in our Mishnah you don't save the guy's food. Just hold on to it. Yet he also says that you help the Karev go down to Nifsei Shavit. So you see that the two do not go hand in hand, meaning you could hold that you shouldn't sell the guy's fruits, but you could hold that you should let a relative go down into the field. Fine. Itmar, so now we learn, now the Gemara goes through the cases of letting somebody into a field of somebody who's captured. Itmar, Shavi Shinishma. So you have a Shavi who was kidnapped, right? And he obviously can't take care of his field. So Rav Amar Marid and Karl and Nechasav, you do not let a relative go down. Shmuel Amar Marid and Karl and Nechasav says you do let a relative go. So Bisha Shama Bushameis, if they already heard a rumor that the guy died, Kuli Amalei Pligi, the Maridin. So there's no machlokes. Everybody hold, let the guy go down. Right? Which we'll see that, and he's gonna, meaning, let's say the guy comes back and he's alive. So the guy that went down, his relative that went down to the field, will get compensated. He'll get paid like a sharecropper. Ki pligi, where's the machlokes? B'shaloi shama b'shemes, where they didn't hear that he died. Rav Amar ein maridin. Rav says ein maridin dilma mafsid lahu, because maybe he's going to mess up the land. Meaning the guy doesn't want. Rashi says he's not going to properly. How do you call it? He's not going to properly put zevel. He's not going to properly fertilize it. He's just going to keep planting. And Memela, he's going to try and get as much as he can out of it, but he's not going to treat it properly. Because since we're going to say that how does he get paid? He gets paid like a sharecropper. So then, if you get paid a sharecropper, means you get paid a percentage. So he's not going to want to run the thing into the ground because he's going to want to make sure that he gets paid a percentage of the profits. Fine. So that's a machlokes Rav and Shmuel, whether you let a relative go down. So Meisvei, Rebbe Lazar, Mimashma Shenema, Bechora Api Varakti Eschem. When Hashem said, "I'm going to come angry at you and I'm going to kill you," and then what's the rest of the pasuk? The rest of the pasuk is Bechora Api Varakti Eschem Bechorev. I'm going to kill you with a sword. And your wives are going to be widows, and your kids are going to be orphans. Now that seems to be redundant. If you're killing somebody, then it goes without saying that the wife is going to be a widow and the kids are going to be orphans, right? So again, I know that, and I know that's what's going to happen. What is it telling us? Right, the women are going to want to get married, but we're not going to let them. Meaning, because Nebuch, like we see what's going on now in Eretz Yisrael with the kidnaps. Ubenayan writes him later in the Nixay Avin, and the kids are going to want to go. They're going to want to yarsh in their father's fields. So we're not going to let them. So what do you see? You see a brisa that says beferish that not like Shmuel. You see the brisa beferish says the kids are not allowed to go down into the fields that belong to their father. We're not going to let them go down to the fields and sell it. But to go down and to work the fields, that we're going to let them do. Fine. It was a story in Narda. And Rav Sheshes paskin from this Mishnah. I'm sorry, from this brisa, that you don't put the karev there. Well, maybe when it says that you don't let him go down, means you don't let him go down and sell it, but you do let him go down and work the field. So he didn't like this answer, right? Maybe you're from Pumpadisa, the Milan Pila Bekuba de Machta. You try and take an elephant and you try and put it through the hole in the needle, meaning you try and say Deichik Terutzen, right? Meaning that's not pshat in the brisa. The brisa says you don't let him go down. Masha, you don't even let him go down to do work the field. Don't say that it only means to sell. But it's similar to the wives and the sons. Mahos and klaloi. There by the wife, we don't let her date, right, or anything like that. Meaning she's an Ashes Ish. We don't let her quasi, like, oh yeah, you can have a boyfriend. No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to have any relationship with any man. Finished. It means we don't let the kids go down at all. Right? Fine. So then the Gemara says, this is a long. Okay, let's do it. Let's just take a long machlokes tanoim. When we read in Kav, the say Shavei Tanai, whether we're supposed to, we said it's machlokes Rav and Shmuel. Now we're going to say it's actually a machlokes Tanoim. It's just not so easy to see where it's a machlokes Tanoim here. The Tanya Hayar, the say Shavei, somebody goes down to the nechasim of a captured person. We don't, meaning if he did, right? He already went, meaning if a neighbor, or not a neighbor, a relative got captured, right? So then, and he went into to help the guy's field. Ein matzinas miyada, don't take it away from him. I'm sorry. So Taisa says, the bottom Taisa says, it's lav dafka. We even let him go lechatchila. From the Gemara, it's mashma that if he went in there, we don't take him out. It's mashma that he can't go lechatchila. Taisa says no. He could even go lechatchila. But anyway, so he goes, we don't take him out. Even if we hear that the that the guy is on his way home, meaning they freed him and that he's going to be coming back. The kingdom, the talash, and he goes first, and he in his talash he harvests. So he's a smart guy. He's a zaraz and a nischar. Right? So you see, according to this Tana, that we do let him go down. And what is considered the belongings of Shuyin? Whether his father, his brother, or any other relative went to Medina Sayyam, and then they heard that he died. Right? So that would be considered Nichse Shuyin. Hayar in the Nichse Netushim. If somebody goes to Nechasim of Netushim, so we'll see exactly what that means, what Netushim is in a minute. That we take away from him. Right? So, I mean, basically what it is it's going to be is that it was taken away from him and against his will. And they didn't hear that he died. I heard that Netushim are like Shvuyin. So you see, they're like Shvuyin in what way? That you don't kick him out. Right? So you see that Netushim is a machlokes tanoim. And then you're in the Nichse Ritushim, if you go down to the Nechasim of Ritushim, that you take away from him. That's according to everybody. Why? Because that was where he gave it up voluntarily. Right? So we have no idea where he went. Fine. So that's a machlokes tanoim. Ma'ishna hanoch dekaru nitushim. Why one of them called nitushim and ma'ishna hani dekaru lehu britushim? Why were some called ritushim and why called nitushim? On top of Aleph. Netushim the Baal Karchach. Netushim means that they were forced out of their fields. Right? It says that Shemitah is the 7th year Tishmatena, which is that's where the word Shemitah comes from, meaning it knocks everything free. Unetashta, and it gets abandoned. So you see, the word Netashta is it's I guess it happens against his will. I mean, it's automatic. Afkasa the Malkum, right? So meaning it's going with the mitzvah samelach. Rashi says it's the mitzvah of the king, meaning the guy didn't have a choice. The same way Shemitah, the way I understand it, is the same way Shemitah is the mitzvah of the king. You lose your field by Shemitah. So too, this is talking about where the king, for whatever reason, took away his field. Ritushim demidaiton. Ritushim is voluntarily. Dirsiv, meaning they abandoned their field voluntarily. Because it says, Aim abonim rutasha. Right? The mother with the kids, rutasha, were abandoned. Right? So Mamela, that's what Ritushim means, abandoned. Whatever it is, we have a machlokes tanoim that whether you allow relatives to go down into the fields of people that are captured. Okay, we'll stop over here. Say a till. Okay, Shir's more also.